Hello, do you have the question if Cyno is actually a good Genshin Impact character or not, and if you should consider pulling for him? Well, today I would like to showcase my favorite Cyno budget team and show you how good he performs inside of Abyss. So first, let me go over the team. So, we have Cyno himself. He's level 88, he's got a crit damage value of 175 to 75 crit rate, around 130 crit chance. He does have his signature weapon, and he's currently rocking quite a mediocre 4-piece Thundering Fury set, no constellations and 2 crowns on him. Next to that, we have a level 80 Nahida with a pretty mediocre build, rocking 40 to 130 with 450 Elemental Mastery, level 90 Witsit, and only 2-piece Deep Root Memories right now. Then we have a pretty mediocre Xingqiu, being at level 70, having a okay crit rate to crit damage ratio with a lot of energy recharge, and a level 70 Sacrificial Sword on the Emblem of Severed Fate, C5 with low level talents. The Nahida has 8-7 by the way, and C0. And lastly, Zhongli C0 with 82 or 32k HP, a little bit of a meteor build, and the Fev lens for more energy recharge, Tenacity of the Middle Live C0. With this budget team, I am going to take on the Abyss 12, and I can just directly show you what you can kind of expect for a Cyno performance with kind of a mediocre team. This team could be easily improved, so if you have a better team than this, you can expect much better performance from Cyno and the team in general. Real quick, the second team I will be playing is Tartaglia International. We have Chalde, C0, good crit ratio, Zhengling, C6, Onahoma, she's a bit strong, Bennett, good boy, noblesse oblige. And lastly, the strongest character in the game, Kazuha, he's on a hybrid build, 500 AEM and a good crit rate. The crit damage build with a lot of energy recharge and a Fev sword, so my team stays healthy. So let's get that Abyss. So now the first half with the budget team. We start off by putting on a Zhongli shield, as it is really helpful for Cyno, and we start getting that Xingqiu elemental burst off and getting him nicely charged up again. Now we pop Nahida's E and go into Cyno's elemental burst, and now we can start proccing hyper blooms while simultaneously dealing Cyno's damage. Now these enemies get an occasional electro shield, which we will need to break with some electro or some different element reactions. So now we just got one of the enemies really fast, we go for the same rotation again. Make sure to get rid of his Electro shield with Nahida, pop Zhongli's shield because we needed all the Cyno, and pop his burst again. With Cyno's burst active, like this, you proc a lot of Hyper Bloom, and if your characters have great builds, that Hyper Bloom is going to deal some damage. But now, Cyno is dealing very solid hits, varying between 10k and 30k on his E skill, enabling me to take down these monsters at a relatively high speed. We just keep repeating this rotation on every single monster. First we ensure that we strip off their Electro shield, then we pop Nahida E on her and give my Xingqiu his burst, and then we go into Cyno burst, and with all of this active, we can Hyper Bloom, apply lots of damage and reactions, and really make some use out of Cyno's Elemental Mastery, as he does like having a lot of Elemental Mastery in his kit, but you can build a ton of Elemental Mastery in Cyno, but you're gonna need reactions to use that EM. So really make sure that if you're playing Cyno, that you're causing a couple of reactions. Now this big boy has got his Electro shield back, so we put Nahida back again to get rid of it, pop Xingqiu burst, get a little bit of Hyper Bloom seeds, proc him with my E, and cast my Elemental burst to finish him off really quickly. Now I will also quickly showcase my Tartaglia International. If you are interested, you can skip to the next floor if you are not. So first of all, with Kazuha, we group up the enemies, group them all together, and then pop Tartaglia E to just quickly deal with them, as they already have Pyro applied because of Bennett's Elemental Burst. Then we get rid of all these Pyro Mage shields. I take a bit of big damage here, but once their shields are all gone, we can just group them up nicely, pop my Bennett Burst to deal an okay Vaporize ultimate, and start getting some of my particles back. My Tartaglia is still on cooldown, so I have a bit of downtime where I just have to whittle them down with my bow. After they have dropped, we have another wave of enemies. I think I just got a bit of Bennett's burst there still for my Zhengling elemental burst. And then we just group them up again and cause this wonderful Tartaglia explosion, clearing this floor on 3 stars while using Cyno. So this floor is going to be the toughest one. The second half, First of all, I didn't exactly time my elemental bursts too right and my Cyno needs to do some charging. So first, we're gonna apply all the debuffs on them with Nahida, freeze them with Zhongli and get my Xingqiu burst off. And now we're gonna swap to Cyno and we're gonna try and get him some energy recharge in here. So we charge his burst a little bit, wait for his E cooldown to come back up again, get the Zhongli shield back up again and get him some particles. Now we can pop Xingqiu burst, Nahida burst and Nahida E. And then we can go to town with Cyno and we can kill the big samurai. So now we have all the buffs up that we need, go for the big samurai and just delete him from the game really quickly. But now the real challenger appears of this abyss. 2 incredibly strong and funny enough enemies from the desert. These enemies hit super duper hard and one is also extremely resistant to Electro. So how are we going to deal with these two? Well, we use the same rotation and make sure to charge up my Cyno a plenty amount. And make sure to use Zhongli's elemental skill frequently so that I get his shield often enough and stun them with my elemental burst, like here. I take a lot of time to cast my planet Bfall. Unfortunately the Scorpion did not get stunned by that, but now that we are all charged up, we can go into Cyno Burst with also all the other buffs, with Nahida E and with Xingqiu elemental burst, and we're doing some big damage to the Scorpion here. This is really nice damage into them, so that one Cyno elemental burst did an amazing job of damaging them. Now we unfortunately do need to go back and start energy recharging back up again, get my Xingqiu burst going, get some particles on the Cyno, get some particles on the Zhongli, and hopefully maybe stun them here with a planet Bfall. Okay, I get a little bit of breathing room, I charge my Xingqiu, I cast my burst, I pop Nahida, I pop my Cyno E, and I have just enough energy, so now we're gonna deal some big damage once again. They're nicely grouped together, and I can use my Cyno elemental skill here to almost finish off the Scorpion. Now as you can see, this is taking a while as these enemies are quite big menaces, but I think if this team had much better stats, this floor would have been cleared a lot quicker. Unfortunately, I need to do quite a bit of rotations to get rid of this bird, and he's now camping low HP. It's taking up way more time than I'd like him to. Unfortunately, it would be a bit of a waste as well to use all my elemental bursts, so we use Cyno's E and Hyperbloom him to death. Next up, it's Tartaglia International's turn. So, triple Magokenki, stand on the lone Gale. If you stand on the blue, or I mean the green Magokenki, they all group up a lot nicer. Then we use Kazuha Elemental Burst, as that is just constant damage, and start doing a little bit of AoE damage here. We take some big damage on the Tartaglia from that big Magokenki attack that I failed to dodge, but we just keep using Kazuha's Elemental Burst here, which you can do if you have Fast Sword and so much energy recharge, and then get Bennett Burst off to get Xiangling Burst off, to then swap to Tartaglia and do Tartaglia's Burst, and now we've done a lot of AoE damage on all these Magokenkis. Now, our job is just to finish them all off, so always read the names on top and go for the target with the highest remaining health. In this case, it is the Gale Magokenki. After that, one is finished off. Now it's just simply cleaning up, and we clean them up with a Tartaglia Elemental Burst, finishing this floor on 2 stars. Now, let's watch Cyno shine a little bit. We have the Tomb Guard of the Desert King. Now, let's see how this boss gets taken down. We pop Xingqiu's Burst and he instantly goes after a Nahida Burst. He goes into his build mode. Now you should always target the main body, but here I would like to showcase how quickly you can destroy these components as well. So with Cyno, you can constantly deal pretty big damage against these components, blocking the boss and stunning him. After this I will show you the right way to do this. Now it is time to go to town on him. So we hit the boss as hard as we can, constantly hitting him with Cyno's attack, proccing some aggravates, proccing some quickens, and in general, dealing a quite reasonable amount of damage. But now, the boss is going to flee again, so we get ready to put on all our elemental bursts again, to go back into dealing damage as soon as possible. And here we go. Now we're in elemental burst and we're dealing a ton of damage, proccing hyper blooms, proccing quickens, all in all, doing all these great dendro electro reactions. And now, if I go for the main body, he's instantly stunned. Amazing. So we can continue proccing all these reactions, hyper blooming a bit, doing electro reactions, quicken, aggravate, and all these things cause the boss to drop quite a bit in HP actually. So now Cyno's burst is over, it's time to go back at the start of the rotation again. Xingqiu, Zhongli, Nahida, and then Cyno Elemental Burst. Now maybe with this elemental burst we might be able to take down the boss. We deal a lot of damage here. Imagine if you had a good Yelan here, or a level 90 Zincho, and a level 90 Nahida. This is gonna deal a absolute balls amount of damage. So now the boss is almost dead, and he's finished off in almost 1 minute 40 with this bad of a team. So now, to finish it off, Tartaglia International versus the Eremites. We've got a little bit of energy recharge to get here, get my elemental burst off on the Bennett, then we pop Xiangling's elemental burst, Kazuha because it's always useful. We kind of get stunned by an orb here, this is not really in the plan, but what we want is to group them up here and then hit them with Tartaglia like this. Now once this wave is down, the real fun begins. The big Eremites. These are very spaced out of each other, so they're hard to group. They put all their summons down, and in general are very tanky. So we put down as much AoE as we can, but you can really get rallied here and just get absolutely butchered. So we charge Xiangling up, pop her elemental burst as soon as possible. And then we can use Kazuha to just keep dealing AoE damage, and swap to Tartaglia and do big AoE hit. Now all the Eremites are stunned and all their companions are gone. We finish off one of the Eremites and move on to the next one, trying to finish her off. Now, these enemies are just incredibly tanky, and my Xiangling elemental burst is far from up again. So unfortunately, we pop Kazuha's burst here, pop Bennett burst here, and realize, oh no, Xiangling needs to charge. So I try and charge Xiangling as quickly as I can. But unfortunately, Tartaglia needs a breather, Xiangling doesn't have elemental burst, and thus we just don't make this in time as well for the 3-star clear. But even with that, we finish off the final Eremite to finish off this level of Abyss, and finish the entire Abyss with 7 stars with a very scuffed Cyno team that has a lot of room to improve. So, to conclude, do I think Cyno is a bad unit? Absolutely not. I think if you are proccing a lot of elemental reactions with Cyno, you can deal some really good damage with him, and he fits really well in these kind of teams that like to deal a lot of elemental reactions. If you have someone like Yelan, Nahida, Zhongli, these characters work great with him, and especially Yelan I think is an amazing companion for Cyno and his sort of Hyper Bloom teams. And this is also one of my favorite teams to play for him. Next to that, his playstyle is incredibly fun, and I think if you like this kind of playstyle where you go berserk in your elemental burst and you claw the absolute heck out of your enemies, I think Cyno is for you. If you are really in need of a extremely strong Genshin character and you like someone that is like almost overpowered, Cyno isn't it. He is a good character and definitely has basis of 36 starring Abyss. He's just good. He's not amazing, he's not insane, but he's definitely not one thing. And that is bad. So, would you like to pull Cyno? I think this is a good showcase of how he looks in an average team and how you can improve upon that team to deal some big damage. I hope this was helpful and I wish you a very nice rest of your day. Goodbye.